Hello and welcome to Go Ballistic. The Scottish Suns look back at a crazy weekend of Premiership action and look ahead to the big European games this week. I'm Roger Hanna. With me as ever, Sun Sports' Kris Boyd. Now, Boydie, throwing forward to the weekend, you're on Sky Sports duty at Fir Park, Motherwell against Celtic. But one man who won't be there is Stuart Kettlewell. He resigned as Motherwell manager yesterday, citing the abuse that he was getting from a section of Fir Park support. His family couldn't go to games anymore. How bad must things be when a manager's walking away from his job?
Very, very. I think it seems to be the end thing right now, where we live in a world that social media is more or less running it, and everybody thinks that's a place to voice their frustration. And I get the fact that, look, if you're a manager and you're a player and you're in a game of football, you're always going to get criticised. You are. That's just the nature of it. I'm not saying it's right, but that's just the nature of it. We've seen people in stadiums for years hurling abuse at players and officials and managers and coaches, and that is always going to be the case. We've actually seen fans argue with each another in stands, but that is just what happens. When you get in a football stadium. But what I will add to it, Roger, is that. And I'm not saying that's right, by the way, but that it just seems to be the norm. But I think what's happening now is because of social media and everybody can see, what's going on in everybody else's life, and they feel as if it's just a tool to go and abuse people, and that is basically it. That some of the abuse that people get, messages from some, and I mean, listen, I get it. I've had it myself. Maybe I should be more vocal on it, but I don't. For me, it's water off a duck's back, and I'm not saying the way I handle it is right either. Other people deal with things differently, and Stuart Kettlewell has had enough. But there is this idea that people can just go onto social media and write whatever they want without any consequences. And I've said it before. It's having a massive impact in society in terms of mental health. It's having a mental health. It's having a massive impact on human beings. And you just wonder what goes through some people's minds when they sit there and write a message and then send it. I mean, it's absolutely it's beggars belief to think that you. But the thing is, Roger, they will continue to do it because they're getting away with it.
Yeah.
No, what's happened is what has happened now is if you go back years ago and you were hurling abuse at someone in the street, or you punched someone in the street or whatever, you were getting dealt with the police. Now all of a sudden there's nothing getting done because it's just a message that's been sent. Oh, it's just an Instagram post. Oh, it's just a Twitter. It's just replying to a story. Everybody thinks they can sit and say whatever they want, or send out X, whatever it's called now, send out posts. But it's actually having, if you think back to society, Roger, if you're in an area where people are hurling abuse at you, or you feel as if you're endangered, you take yourself away from it. If you are on social media, and why should you come off something you might enjoy because someone or people are hurling abuse at you, sending messages, everything? Why should you be punished because the people that are sending it are the ones who are in the wrong? So I really don't get some people's actions. I really don't, and it's about high time someone done something about it. The hierarchy, yeah. And I mean, the government really need to step in, and these social media companies and everything else that comes along with it, they really, really, really need to start clamping down this, because it's happening too often. You look at even the officials in England as well, what's happened over the past. Listen, nobody goes out to have a bad game. Nobody goes out to make a bad decision. It happens sometimes. You might have other things going on in your life that people don't know about, and they continue to send these messages. Back to the main point in terms of Stuart Kettlewell. Listen, in terms of his team, it wasn't really happening for them. They've lost back-to-back games against St Johnstone, which would be worrying as well. But it doesn't matter in terms of how the team's performing. Nobody, and especially, I mean, he might be able to deal with it, but if his family are now, involved in this, and anytime they're going to a game, they're getting abused as well. It's no right, and I don't care what anybody says. There's people above us that need to actually take action with this. I mean, these social media companies really need to sort all of that out, and the government need to stand in terms of football grounds, because it's still the case, Roger. It's still the case when people walk through those gates at football grounds, they think they can shout and say whatever they want. It's going back to the 60s and 70s, 80s.
Like, the great piece by Bill Leckie in the paper this morning about it. I mean, what would happen if Stuart Kettlewell went to their work and started shouting abuse at them at their work? How would they like that? And also, Motherwell, I'm told, have the 10th largest budget in the Premiership. They're sitting 5th this morning. They've been to a Hampden semi-final. When Stuart Kettlewell took charge, they'd just been knocked out of the Scottish Cup and were bottom of the league and look as if they were going to be relegated. He's developed Lennon Miller. He's developed Ewan Wilson. They're selling players. There's more players there they can sell. They're above Hibs. They're above Hearts. Where do these Motherwell fans think Motherwell should be positioned in Scottish football? And what happens to Stuart Kettlewell's successor if somehow, dreadfully, they fall to 7th? What kind of sticks are you going to get from the Motherwell punters?
No, I know, and listen, I think everything you've said there is correct. You look at Motherwell fans, and I mean, they had a period where they were up the top challenger under Stuart McCall, and then obviously, but that's what's going to happen with clubs like Motherwell. And no, it's no disrespect for them. You might have one good season where you're really good, then you're going to drop off, then you can come back up, then you'll drop off because you might sell a couple of players. You're going to have time to bring youngsters in. There needs to be a realisation that these guys are out there doing their best. And as you say, there's a lot of good things that Stuart Kettlewell has done for Motherwell Football Club. A lot. Far outweighs the negatives. And there's one thing I will say, Roger, and this is true. You're not in control of results as a football manager. You're not in control because you've got another team that are fighting against you to stop you from winning those games. You're not in control of them. What you are in control of is making the environment, the working environment that you are in charge of, better. And the question is, has Stuart Kettlewell made the Motherwell working environment better? 100%.
And of course, I mean, the players were shocked and stunned yesterday. I spoke to some of the players, knew nothing about it. They were absolutely shattered by it. Look at the injuries as well. Without 9 or 10 players, his goalkeeper, Aston Oxford, out. His captain and centre-half, Paul McGinn, out. His best player, Lennon Miller, out. His most expensive striker, Apostolos Stamatolopoulos, out.
I'm glad you said that.
Motherwell fans complaining about the style of football. I'm 53. I never remember a Motherwell reserve team playing like the 1970 Brazil World Cup winners. You play and deal with what you've got. And he's taken effectively a Motherwell reserve team to 5th place in the Premiership.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you look at Motherwell, they're in a bad run right now. But I think that would be short term just to look at that. That there is other clubs within the league that have got far bigger problems than what Motherwell have right now. Aberdeen to for one. But I look at Motherwell, and that there needs to be a sense of realisation of what they are, where they are, and what their achievement is. If they can get top 6, it's an unbelievable achievement. You said they're probably on the verge of beating, if not equaling, definitely their transfer record with Lennon Miller when he goes. That's because Stuart Kettlewell showed faith in him and gave him a run of games. It has not been good enough, in recent weeks on the pitch. I think and this would probably be telling, Roger, when the Scottish Cup game comes around and all of a sudden there's this big, it's the Scottish Cup and we want to have a following behind us, when there is just under 2,000 Motherwell fans go to an away game, it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen, which tells me a lot of them have went for a day out. And probably vented the frustration, because this is when it started to really turn. The back-to-back games against St Johnstone that you've lost, people have been asking questions then, but a lot of the negativity came from the Cup game. There's a lot of Motherwell would be in a far, far better place if those fans backed them to that level every single week. That's just a fact. Yeah. So, I mean, they moan about everything, but there's a lot of the fans won't be helping to what is actually going on at Motherwell right now. And I'll say it again, Stuart Kettlewell is not in charge of results, and he can't control them, but he can make Motherwell Football Club a better place, and he's definitely done that.
100%. We're talking about people who would be at Fir Park on Sunday. They include Kyogo Furuhashi, now a Rennes player, but someone who will be is Jota, back from Rennes to Celtic. It's one of the more unusual transfer moves. David Friel broke the story in Sunsport Online last Wednesday night. What do you make of Kyogo out, Jota, and your column in the Scottish Sun a couple of weeks ago warned Celtic they needed to be a bit careful about considering a sale of Kyogo, but they've gone through with it.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think, Adam Ida's not performing right now. You've got Maeda who can play as that central striker. I think probably that will happen. He obviously can't. Well, Jota can't play on Wednesday night, and Maeda can't play either. Brendan Rodgers has got a few decisions to make there. But in terms of next week, you would expect Maeda to go through the middle, and that is if Jota's up to speed, because he's not played a lot of football. But I mean, by looking at him, he does look as if he's fit and ready to go. So I would imagine, because I don't think that the Jota on the left and Maeda on the right, or Maeda on the left and Jota on the right, it didn't work. For Ange Postecoglou either. I mean, sorry, it did work, but it wasn't as fluent as what it was. When both of them were, one was out the team. I think both
goes to the left.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I think both of them will want to play off that left hand side, and that's why I think Maeda will have to become the central striker.
Does that mean, Boydie? Does that mean they don't need to sign another striker? If you're now looking, if they look at wingers, and there's Kuhn and there's Jota and there's Forrest and there's Zhang and Palmer's still in the building just now, is Maeda now the replacement for Kyogo? And that means Celtic don't need to go and sign say Matthias Kvistgarden from Brøndby.
I think it's an option, and it's a very good option at that. But I would still imagine that Celtic will have to. I mean, how are you going to sell that to the Celtic fans that you've sold your number one striker and then you've moved a winger in to become, what's effectively your first choice striker? It's not going to happen. They're going to have to bring someone in, and whether it's someone on loan, they might look to do that, or do they go and sign someone? I would imagine, personally, I would think Celtic might bring someone in on loan to the end of the season and then look to recruit a permanent striker in the summer, just because it's a lot of money to do it right now. Sometimes you end up paying over the odds. It's probably better to try and get deals done in the summer. Our teams know exactly where they're at, and what they're going to do with their own budgets. So I mean, Celtic have got the money to go and spend it, but the last thing they will want to do is just go and pay another 2-3 million on top of something to get someone in, just for the sake of it. As I said, I think they'll go down the loan route, probably bring someone else in, and Maeda is there as an option.
Would it be different if they were just a point ahead of Rangers? Would they be more likely?
If they're a point ahead of Rangers, Kyogo's not sold.
Yeah.
If they're a point ahead of Rangers, Kyogo's not sold. I think we touched on that a few weeks ago in the column as well, regarding the decision to let him go. Would because Celtic are so many points ahead, it's probably they've looked at it and said, he's going to be 30-year-old, or he is 30-year-old now. Listen, he has picked up some injuries as well. His shoulder would be a concern. We've seen him missing a few games for that as well. And having signed, what was it, £4.5 million? You get £10 million for him. You've got 3.5. You've had 3.5 years of unbelievable service, I will say. Big goals, big games.
85 goals.
I mean, it's
85 goals.
It's a good return. It's a very good return, and you can see why Celtic have said, right, okay, in terms of the money we're receiving, it appeals to them to do it. But I just always think when you've got a goal scorer and someone who contributes so much to the team, especially January time, I mean, Celtic fans, will they be thinking, you look at, they've got Aston Villa during the week, but you look at the next round, Celtic fans will surely be sitting and think to themselves, we've got a chance of going through here. Would they have had a better chance of going through with Kyogo in the team? 100%. They're going to have to move, players around, and if they get someone in on loan, then that might be the market to go. But as I said, for me, I can understand why Celtic have done it, but I wouldn't have. But at the same time, we only you hear and see some things, but I think Brendan Rodgers touched on it as well, that Kyogo had been to see him for a couple of months and said that he wants to move on. I think we touched on that as well regarding, he was a late comer to European football. and I'm not having a go at where he's from, but the money back home wouldn't have been at the level of what it is here. He might be looking at it as an opportunity to go and get one last payday, and I don't think Celtic would have given him that, even if he'd scored double that amount of goals. That's just the Celtic way. Is they will get players in, bring them on, sell them, generate enough money to go and sign maybe one or two, and hope that they get one or two of those right. And that's what they've done, and it's been successful for them. So I mean, you can't knock Celtic in the transfer market. You can't knock the decision to sell Kyogo. You can understand it, but as a football club, their transfer of recruitment has been very good for a period of time now. And if Kyogo's asked to go, then I think Celtic have they've not been backed into a corner. But the last thing you want is players there that are not happy. But I will add, he might have asked a couple of months to go, but that didn't affect his performances. Because I think for you could argue the last few weeks he's probably, and I know he was out in the wide areas some games as well, but it's probably the best he's been for a period of time for Celtic.
Boyd, well, look at the flashpoint at Tannadice. Mohamed Diomande has won his SFA appeal over his clash with Kevin Holt. Personally, I've seen more aggression between yourself and Chris Sutton that Sky game. What did you make of the Diomande challenge? What did you make of Nick Walsh's decision to double down rather than backing down and Don Robertson sent him to the screen?
Yeah, it was a strange one. I mean, I'm glad that it's been overturned and Diomande can continue to play, because he has been a big player for Rangers in recent times. Him and Raskin in the middle of the pitch. But on the incident itself, I mean, I think, listen, I can understand why Nick Walsh issued the red card to start with in terms of the angle that he saw it. But when he goes to the monitor, that's really the only angle he sees again as well. He doesn't really see any other one. So in a way, you could look at it and say there is a little bit of sympathy there for Nick Walsh in terms of he didn't see any other angles. So did VAR do its job properly? Probably not. But you've just got to look at it. I mean, Kevin Holt's head didn't move. From that angle that Nick Walsh, I get it. But if you start giving out cards, Declan Gallagher was involved as well, who'd already been booked. Kevin Holt had a couple of shoves. None of them were booked. Diomande was sent off, and I'm just glad that it's been overturned, and someone has seen a little bit of common sense.
Boydie, that's great. Thanks very much. Thanks everyone for watching. Remember, you can keep up to date with all the Scottish football action in the paper, online, and we'll have a special Coffee Club FC from Birmingham tomorrow with Robert Grieve and Gareth Law ahead of Celtic's final Champions League group action, the Battle of Britain against Aston Villa. All the best.